Breaking news. The feds have investigated themselves and cleared themselves of any wrongdoing. The Kate Dalley Show starts now.
Of forcefully taking money from some people in order to provide welfare benefits to others, how will the people whose money is being taken feel about the government?
Well, I don't accept your phraseology. I don't think we force people.
Taxation is not forceful?
Well, no.
It's voluntary?
In fact, quite to the contrary. Our system of government is a voluntary tax system.
Oh, if you don't want to pay your taxes, you don't have to?
Oh, of course you have to pay your taxes. But
well, the government will force you to pay, or they'll fine you or imprison you.
We have a voluntary system. Yeah.
Hi there, welcome. Kate Dalley Show. I have a special guest coming up here talking about that very thing. Now, that was Harry Reid back in the day, and he has since passed on, and I can't say I'm sad about that. Harry Reid, talking about the voluntary system of taxation. I have a very loaded show for you today. I have this particular guest on who used to be with the IRS, and I'm going to be asking him some questions. He was one of the highest level gun-carrying criminal investigators, and Joe Banister is going to join me. When I also want to say that they say the Category 3 hurricane, 25 dead, high winds, some destruction, some flooding, things that you would expect with a hurricane, but just realize there's a whole money pit laundering scheme behind the disasters as well. I might talk about that today, and also a little bit on Aladdin. You need to know what Aladdin is if you don't. Who's running our country? Has a lot to do with that. So we'll attack all of this in today's show. Very informative show today. I hope you stick around because it's going to be good. Joe Banister joins me. And let me just tell you, Joe was with the IRS, and also we may be having Peymon Mottahedah on from the Freedom Law School just to talk about taxation for just a moment. Joe, your background. Can you tell the people your background a little bit, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
You also have as a guest my 3-year-old granddaughter. I don't know how.
It's all right. It's Friday.
She will be.
I'm glad you're spending time with family. That's a good thing. So it's a Friday show. All right. So tell us your background.
So from 1993 through 1999, or at least early 99, I was a criminal investigator for the IRS. So our position title was special agent, and we were called special because of the special duties such as executing search warrants, making arrests, carrying guns and shotguns and all that good stuff.
Right.
And so I did that for about 5.5 years.
Wow.
Sworn to support and defend the Constitution back in November of 1993, and stayed there till February of 1999, when I resigned from the IRS to blow the whistle on the income tax scam, the way that the American people have been lied to really since 1916.
Right.
The income tax was ushered in 1913 with the alleged passage of the 16th Amendment. But it didn't until like 1916 when the scam began. Actually, the scam started with 1913 because the federal government claimed that the 16th Amendment had been ratified when, in fact, many states had not ratified the 16th Amendment. One in particular, Kentucky, actually rejected the amendment, but the feds claimed that Kentucky approved the amendment. So,
wow.
Lies from the very, very beginning.
Sure. I expect nothing less from this entire last 150 years.
I actually call the IRS the original deep state operation.
No, that would make sense. And so there's a lot of people that are confused today on really what the parameters are. They see certain people being brought up on charges for not paying. They see people that get away with it. What's your take?
Well, I mean, I myself, I'm not sure where to put it in the story, but I myself was prosecuted by the IRS after I resigned. But in terms of overall, it's a very rigged game, which, of course, won't surprise you or your listeners.
Sure.
Especially COVID, the whole COVID nonsense is a really good instructor as to how the media and the government work together to make people do things that really the law doesn't require.
Sure.
But they can paint a picture so most everyone thinks it's required, and basically make your life miserable if you don't comply.
Okay.
And so that's basically how the IRS does it. And the misery is real.
Right.
Anything from audits to, honey, just a second.
Thanks,
from
Joe.
levying your bank account, taking all your money out of your bank account, to putting a lien on your house, to putting you in prison. Probably the biggest misnomer that people have is that they don't have, the IRS isn't as all-powerful as people think.
Okay.
The amount of enforcement compared to the population of the country is, there's like no comparison. And Peymon, from Freedom Law School, if he gets a chance to come on your show, he can explain the statistics bear out what I'm saying. So basically there's this big fear factor. And yes, the 800-pound gorilla of the IRS can make lives miserable.
I see.
But most of the way the IRS gets away with it is through the fear of the public, and they're just, they're not aware. I mean, I don't want to say unsophisticated or, ignorant about it, but just, I mean, it took me, when I was working for the IRS as a criminal investigator, I was a CPA, all this training, they trusted me to carry a gun and a badge around, even on airplanes, because this was prior to 9/11.
Jeez.
The time it took me to dig in and figure out the truth was pretty extensive. So it takes some homework, definitely. But the fact of the matter is, the reason I left the IRS was because I approached my IRS supervisors while I was working there and said, look, I've spent about the last 2 years off duty trying to disprove these allegations that most Americans aren't required to pay the income tax.
Right.
And I can't put a hole in it. And, here I am, a CPA, and you've paid me and you've promoted me these last 5.5 years.
Sure.
So I'd like a little assistance where I went wrong, if I did. And my supervisor's response was, we're not going to respond to your questions or concerns, and here's the paperwork to tender your resignation.
Wow. I did hear that they are not going after low-level income earners under $100,000 as much as people think they are. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, their enforcement, it's hard to tell for sure if it was due to COVID or not, because we're still, coming out of that.
Right.
But the enforcement just took a nosedive, and to the point where they wouldn't even send a notice to someone who was not filing tax returns.
Right.
Even if they had made, $30,000, $50,000, $80,000, the IRS just would not follow up on as they used to, back in the day.
What about their new 80,000 some odd agents? How does that factor?
Well, it's again, the media is great at making something seem bigger than it is.
Right.
The legislation actually called for 8,700 agents over a 10-year period.
Interesting.
And, of course, over that 10 years, there can be fighting over, 8,700 is enough, no more, or, 17,000. Now we've had enough. In other words, they may never reach the 87,000 because that was a 10-year target.
Right. Interesting.
And then even I have to say, I thought I was a pretty competent person there in terms of the amount of promotions that they gave me and the pay raises that I got. But most IRS employees, or many, shall we say, are really not motivated. They're only there to get their paycheck and pension. And they're really not very sophisticated. They just rely on the computers to take care of business for them.
Right.
And a fair number of the IRS's computers were designed and built back in the 60s.
Really?
And
interesting.
A pretty sturdy theory as to why they're using computer systems that are, 65 years old is because those computer systems are manipulated. And so if they had to create a new computer system, I'm sure that they've actually tried to create new computer systems, but then they'd have to let in all the contractors and to let them know how the old system worked.
Interesting.
And you know how
Yeah.
I'm not a programmer, but the programmers need to really understand how it works, right? In order to get the computer to implement whatever system it's supposed to implement or work with. And that's where the cat would have to be let out of the bag.
I see.
Like, well, this is the way we've manipulated our computer system since, 1964.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is create a new system to do the same thing. And, that means they'd have to have all this whole new set of people involved and willing to, to play in a manipulated, lying computer system.
Are they afraid of people that know the law, that understand it? Will they back off when people understand the law and they're saying, you have no legal right to take this from me?
I would say not necessarily afraid. The process is actually quite robotic and computerized. Okay. So if you try to assert yourself in terms of what the law actually allows, they won't. There's no way to really pay attention to it. However, at some point, human beings or non-computers do get involved, and at that point, then you can try to get some due process. But most of the system is geared towards just railroading you along, in this computer system. And, of course, I have to give hats off to Peymon at Freedom Law School because over a 35-year period, he has really figured out, how the system rolls you along and where you can put the poison pills and get out of their clutches.
Interesting. Okay, it's fascinating to me. All of this is fascinating, and I appreciate you being a whistleblower. I'm going to have you back when it's not on a Friday and you're not spending time with family. But I do appreciate your 2 cents on this because that's a really vital 2 cents in the fact that you actually were employed there and have been whistleblowing on them. So, Joe, I so appreciate you. I'll let you go. I appreciate you speaking out. Thank you for that.
Just to point out, and G. Edward Griffin was a great inspiration in waking me up.
Yes, I've had him on multiple times on the show. G. Edward Griffin is just amazing. So I appreciate that. Thank you. One of my favorites.
Thank you, Kate.
All right, you bet. That was Joe Banister. He is a whistleblower on the IRS, and I may come back with Peymon. And by the way, a lot of topics today. I mean, not a lot of topics. I shouldn't say that. Important stuff today to understand moving forward on who's really running things. Okay? Be right back on the Kate Dalley Show on a Friday, KateDalleyRadio.com. Be right back.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Sounds rolling, all 3 cameras, we're good. Speed.
Is there any regrets that you have in life? I should sit here and say, yeah, I got a lot of regrets. But when I look back on my life and I understand the lives that were lost, I mean, I'm sitting here with you. And I can tell my story.
Former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty today for lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
He was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
Brilliant military career, serving 33 years. Why was he being so elusive?
Mike Flynn told the truth and faced life in prison.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn, one of America's most treasured military heroes. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Go to Patriot TV, click on Store, and grab a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a treasured piece of American history, and get your own personal download link to watch America's most talked-about movie, as well as a DVD hand-signed by General Michael Flynn. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV store. Incredible savings and a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Welcome back. This is the Kate Dalley Show. And of course, my gosh, I can't wait to get to this. We're going to be talking with Peymon, and Peymon is down in Florida, so this is why we're having a little struggle today because of the fact, they were in a storm, so in a hurricane. And of course, we welcome Peymon from Freedom Law School. Welcome, Peymon. How are you?
Thank you, Kate, for having me. I'm doing great.
You bet.
Despite the hurricane that affected Florida, we're doing okay.
Yes. I mean, I'm surprised we're on Skype. So I really appreciate you. Look, I want to talk about this. I talked with Joe Banister in the last segment and was going to have both of you on at the same time, but it actually worked out quite well because able to ask Joe some questions. And he really talked about the fact that this is a computerized system. This is a system in which it can be beat if you know what to do. And so I always want to offer up the solutions for the audience, always about solutions, about what we can do. And I played a clip by Harry Reid where he was asked in an interview, the late Harry Reid, who I'm not a fan of, obviously, who the guy said, well, is it a voluntary system? He goes, yeah, it's a voluntary system, but you have to do it. But it's a voluntary. So they kept going back and forth. Before we begin, I just want people to understand a little bit about your background. You left Tehran at 14. Do you want to talk about that for just a moment and coming to America?
Yes, I was raised in a family where my father talked with his friends in my presence as a 6-year-old child about politics and health, Arab-Israeli conflict, America versus Soviet Union, and Iranian politics where the king could have you kidnapped, thrown in jail, tortured, summary trial, no trial, just because you criticized him and spoke up against him. Wow. So when I came to America in 1977 at age 14, I thought I came to a land of the free, home of the brave, the greatest country on earth, which I think still it is. Mm-hmm. But in 1980s, in my economics classes, I found out, wait a minute, this is not as free as it was promised to be. So that's where I got involved in the freedom movement back in the late 80s in a big way.
Love it. I love it. And this brought you into realizing that we have this very weird system here that is not lawful, that where they can force you and use basically a gun at your head to force you into, or try to force you into thinking you have to pay. And income tax, of course, very criminal what they did as far as taxation. 1800s, it was all about getting our money from tariffs. Then it turned into income tax. So as far as you're concerned, you got into this. Did you realize you were getting into this much of a fight, that it would be kind of a hard position to remain in America in this fighting this big system?
Well, not at first, because I became a Libertarian Party activist. Mm-hmm. In a time I became a U.S. citizen. It was in 1992 that I heard about the income tax fraud. And I said, wait a minute, why are we paying income taxes to the federal government that we legally do not owe? Mm-hmm. We all could use extra funds to pay our credit card debts, have some savings. And why are we funding the D.C. swamp to begin with?
Right.
So back in 92, I started educating Americans about the fact that, folks, we don't have to pay the government. They don't work for us anymore. Right. The federal government is corrupt. Wake up. Now, people are finally waking up with the January 6th. We all attacks on Donald Trump. They tried to even murder him twice. Now people are saying, I'm no longer going to support this government. And the fact is, based upon U.S. government's official legal websites, mm-hmm. that people the 50 states are not required to pay any federal income or payroll or corporate taxes.
Wow.
We're paying all these taxes believing that there's a law requiring us to do so, whereas the only people that by law have to pay federal income taxes are citizens and residents of Washington, D.C.
Interesting. Wow. Well, when it comes to, so we have about 45 seconds and we're going to be going to break, but we're going to come back. And I want you to talk about the system itself, what happens, how Freedom Law Center helps it, how you can help and what you can do, because there are things you can do. Just like Joe Banister, ex-IRS, just alluded to, there are things successfully that you can do. How much of what's the portion of the United States that's actually fighting this and not complying? What do you think?
Well, there's 80 million non-filers, according to IRS's own best estimates.
80 million.
And all people are going to do, go to our website, freedomlawschool.org. And there's 7 steps there.
.org.
People can educate themselves to live free of our deception.
Okay, we'll be right back. We're going to come right back. More with Peymon when we come back. You're going to want to hear this. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your My Pillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
mypillow.com.
All right. So, Peymon, you have been informing people for over 30 years. You have been doing a wonderful job at explaining to people what to do, what not to do. And I was asking you on the break, there's a significant amount of non-filers. Can you kind of tell us the difference between non-filers and filers? Peymon. I'm hoping we didn't lose him. Let me see. Peymon, are you there? Okay, I'm going to try to call back, and we'll get him on again. We're not going to let the storm. We're not going to let the storm beat us. So, and of course, internet. We're just not going to let it beat us. Okay, and of course, he can call in, which I'm hoping he'll do as well, as far as that goes, because he's got some really pertinent information for us. 80 million non-filers. 80 million non-filers. That is a very, very big deal, okay? I am trying to get him on. We shall try. In fact, I'll have him call up, too, if he can. But I also want to say that with 80 million followers, non-filers, you have on... Let's see. Just, it's live radio. What can I do? Okay. 80 million non-filers is the key. And he's probably going to tell you that is the absolute key to his process. And most people don't know that. Most people do not know that it's the non-filing. When you file, you are under oath to pay that money and those designated funds. And of course, this is where the problem lies. And as we were talking, there's just so much to understand about this. So I'm going to hope to get him on, right? I'm going to hope. Let's hope. But from what Joe was saying, and I'll have Joe on again, I promise, our ex-IRS whistleblower, that it is about having help. Got to have a little bit of help because like Peymon says so eloquently, guess what, folks? he's not in jail. And he's still here with us, and he has not filed for over 30 years because they know that they don't have the resources to go after it, and that is definitely the problem. So keep that in mind. And I'm not telling anybody what to do. All I'm saying is, here's some really good advice, as far as what the system looks like. Peymon, are you back?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Talk about filers and non-filers.
Well, the IRS and the CPA accountant and lawyers deceive us to file those 1040 income tax forms, which are confession forms under oath. You swear you owe the IRS money. You swear everything is true, correct, and complete, even though you do not understand what your accountant, CPA, or lawyer filled out for you to sign, and they don't go to prison, you go to prison. By far, most people the IRS puts in prison, over 95%, are people who file those 1040 income tax confession form. Non-filers are about 80 million, are left alone by the IRS.
That's a lot, considering the fact that your working population is going to, cross off, that's going to be a significant portion of the United States. If you have 80 million, that's quite a few.
That's basically 1 out of 3 Americans does not follow 1040 form. 2 out of 3 do put the rope around the neck by signing those 1040 forms under oath, under penalty of perjury. Read the 1040 form we filed last year, folks. Read it. It says under penalties of perjury. Why did your accountant, CPA, or attorney not tell you what that meant?
I see. So for not filing, they'll send you notices that say you need to file.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Nothing.
They don't even do that. The IRS is such a broken, lazy, dysfunctional, communist organization. They don't even do that. IRS, in the reports that come out of the auditors, say that they don't have enough people to even take calls from filers who want to make a payment plan.
Wow.
They don't have enough people to tell that. Coming after non-filers is discretionary, optional. So they get to non-filers if and when they get to them, while they try to do their best to go after the easy money from filers who follow 1040 confession forms and they swear on line 37 that you owe the IRS money.
What about state? And so we've been talking about federal, but what about state taxes?
Well, 8 don't have any state income tax by their own statements, like Florida, Texas, and Nevada. But the 42 that do, most of them follow federal law definitions and forms. Therefore, if you do not owe federal income tax, which almost all of you don't, you do not owe any state income tax either. Only the 5 states are Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Alabama, and let's see, it was at the Mississippi and South Carolina, and also Louisiana. They're the only ones that you have to pay because the system is not tied upon the federal system and laws.
Wow. Okay. And here you are, 30 years and non-filer, and here you are. So it does. So if you know what to do, if you understand, what's going on, and this is why you help people now. So you can get help and information on his site, freedomlawcenter.org. This is why, though, and the rate of success, I would imagine, would be pretty high as far as helping people.
Yeah, freedomlawschool.org, our website, Freedom Law School.
Oh, Freedom Law School.
Information for free. That's right. We want people to defund the swamp in D.C. Stop voluntarily sending your money to the crooks in D.C. You can legally and safely stop income tax stealing or withholding from your paycheck by going to our website, freedomlawschool.org. If you need help, call us. We'll try to guide you to our website for free. It's all there. And you need to get out of this inflation trap, this debt they force upon you. Build your family while we drain the swamp and brings billions back to American people and the freedom movement, Kate.
I love that. We will take some calls. In fact, let's take a really fast call. Do you have a quick question?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank Peymon for the 3 decades or more that he's been fighting for freedom and liberty in our country. The question to you is, you talk about this confession form, but isn't that all legal a moot issue since the law, there is no legal authority for a federal income tax since it was never ratified? The U.S. Constitution says is no, it's not legal to have a federal income tax.
You've got
4 states.
You got 20 seconds, Peymon, to answer that before we come back.
The tax 16th Amendment is irrelevant to the whole issue at all whatsoever. They are only taxing by law, people who are citizens and residents of Washington, D.C., not the people of the 50 states. You see it all explained at freedomlawschool.org for free.
I love that. I love that. You're going to be able to ask him questions. We're going to come back for the final segment in this hour. Please do so. I know you want questions, so I love this, that you're willing to answer, and you've been helping people for such a long time. And I so appreciate you making people aware of these things. Peymon, you're incredible. Be right back on the Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com. Over 26 million on podcasts. Yep. Be right back on this live radio show. Be right back.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Cup is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. This is actually organic, mold-free, certified. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
Make the healthy choice for you and your family. Try mold-free, pesticide-free, and it's organic. Delicious Kingdom Cup coffee. And it's available now at the Patriot TV store. Go to patriot.tv and click on store. You'll find Kingdom Cup coffee in the health and wellness section. Order Kingdom Cup coffee at the Patriot TV store now.
This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Dalley Show. And of course, go to KateDalleyRadio.com. Share this podcast with everyone you know. I really would appreciate that. And also Patriot TV. In the evening, you can watch at night, 8 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Eastern, right in prime time. And you can catch the show and get up on the latest, the things that actually matter, not what the media wants to tell you, because the media lies to you consistently. Peymon is on with me from Freedom. Give us the website.
freedomlawschool.org.
freedomlawschool.org. I so appreciate you, Peymon. So, of course, you can call up with a quick question, 888-673-1450. 673-1450. Please call in right now with your questions. Peymon will answer those. And so there's things that people should know. Number one, the information you're giving is right from their own websites, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Everything we say about the law is from U.S. government's official legal websites, not some accountant, CPA, or attorney's opinion that they give you. They do not know the law. They were not taught the tax laws. They were just shown to make you a slave by having you fill out those 1040 income tax confession forms and then paying them to put the rope around your neck, sign those forms that you don't understand. So our mind is that you don't owe them anything. And you know what, Kate? We have our petitions on our websites for free for people to send to congressmen that say, look, here's a law. If I'm wrong, show me and I'll pay the income tax.
Right.
And not one congressman has ever written us back and showed us that we're wrong. Not once. Amazing. Because it's all there, available for free at freedomlawschool.org. Triple check with the congressman, right? All 3 of them by certified mail about the law, because we want everybody to follow the law, including the governments.
888-673-1450 for your questions. Peymon is on with me. And so the story about the 80 some odd thousand IRS agents, big scare tactic, Joe kind of alluded to that too. Scare tactic. Yes?
Yes, because IRS is a broken agency. One of their officials just testified before Congress that their employees, about 50% of the time, are not there at their job. Think about that. Because IRS, no one owns the IRS. Okay? Congress doesn't push the IRS to go harder. The employees get paid the same whether they do a good or bad job. And they're hired not based upon competence. They're hired based upon diversity, equity, inclusion. The best employee that the IRS loves to have is a woman who is a black woman, a non-white woman, who claims to be a man and has surgery done himself, claims to be a man. Because he meets 3 quotas at one time. See? So they're completely a broken agency. That's why in 2015-16, they officially stopped going after non-filers completely. They no longer use the computer systems to make cases to go after non-filers. In fact, IRS was given a list of 100 richest non-filers who each owe the IRS $100 million.
Wow.
And to go after them, and IRS told them, no, I'm sorry, we do not have enough people to go after these people. Imagine that.
Oh my gosh. No wonder they leave the low level.
No, we're too busy to go after these guys. So if they're not coming after guys that owe the IRS $100 million, they're not filers. Why would they come after you as a not filer?
Right. What else are people surprised about when they meet with you and talk with you? What are they most surprised about this whole system?
Well, they're surprised that an Iranian guy comes to America and tells them about freedom. That's the most surprised about it. But the second thing surprised about really at the IRS is a myth. IRS is a myth created by the media. The same way the media told you for decades. FBI, CIA, DOJ, they're wonderful people. Like Sean Hannity used to say, oh, they're great men and women, the FBI used to say. Oh, Sean Hannity, guess what, bud? You got woken up a few years ago. No longer do you trust the great men and women of FBI and CIA, DOJ, do you? See, they were told that these guys are wonderful organizations and that the IRS is this powerful God that will strike you dead if you don't file that 1044. Whoa, be scared. That's
so true.
What they've done successfully. But the IRS is a true Wizard of Oz. And I'm here as Toto telling Dorothy and her friends, the American people, you don't need to be afraid of the Wizard of Oz. It's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, all exposed at our website, freedomlawschool.org, for free.
Yeah. I mean, my gosh, all they have to do is print the money. That's what they've been doing since 13. So, I mean, why not just print it? I mean, a lot of people are saying, don't pay, and then they just end up printing more. What's the problem? Right? Besides the fact that what they're doing is so criminal, but they're not going to obviously stop that system. So they'll just print more. Right?
Well, but they need you to, if you don't pay income taxes, it creates more inflation. So they suck some of your wealth out so that we don't have inflation. That's what it's all about, number one. And number two, to control you as a slave. You are the slave and they are the boss. But it's the other way around. Per the Constitution, direct taxes are still unconstitutional if they're not done by dividing it among the states. The 16th Amendment did not give Congress any new taxing powers. They use deception to make you believe that there's a law requiring you to file income taxes, where no such law exists for the people of the 50 states to pay income taxes.
Wow. Freedom Law School. patriot.tv.org. You can get some help there, investigate that, look at that, and peruse the information. You do you have a lot of information there that people can look through. Anything else in the last 45 seconds you want people to know?
Yeah. Don't be afraid of 87,000 agents they say they hired. That's 8,700 per year for 10 years, because IRS was literally falling apart. Employees were leaving en masse or retiring. So they had to get some money to be able to hire some newbies to take place of these experienced retired people. So do not be afraid. Seek the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Go to freedomlawschool.org and free yourself, and tell a friend and family member in the process.
Thank you. Thanks, Peymon. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You bet. And of course, I'll be right back in the next hour. I want to talk about who's really running the country, and you'll be surprised at the answer. Be right back. KateDalleyRadio.com.
Looking to give your wardrobe an upgrade? Well, look no further. Here at God Country & Kin, we've got you covered from head to toe, from shoulder to shoulder, and everything in between. Introducing our brand new Patriotic Collection, designed to display your patriotic spirit with a stylish look that's sure to turn heads. And the best part is, you don't have to break the bank to be your best you. Why wait? Visit us online or in-store today and elevate your style with God Country & Kin. God Country & Kin, where patriotism meets style. Shop now. Visit the Patriot TV store and look for the God Country Kin banner to find the perfect outfit, shirt, accessory, or maybe a great hat. You can totally see yourself rocking this hat. I know you can. And check out all the great stuff we've got to show your patriotism at patriot.tv.store. Click that link above that says store and join me there at the Patriot TV store.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to talk about a limited time offer of subscriptions to Patriot.tv and how you can become a member of our Patriot Defenders subscription club and become a member of Patriot.tv. Really, it's America's network. I call it the home of truth. And you can do that for only $9.99 a month. It's a great deal by itself, but what I'm going to walk you through here in these next few seconds is a couple of package deals that we have that are unbelievable. The next membership was the annual membership at $99 that you can save. Right away, you save $20 if you come in at the annual subscription rate. The best deal that I think that people ought to seriously consider is the 2-year membership at $159. And it includes a special edition of my recently released documentary, Flynn, Deliver the Truth, Whatever the Cost. So along with the 2-year membership, the 2-year subscription will send you a DVD combo of the film, plus an option to stream the movie online, as well as exclusive interviews of Tucker Carlson, Devin Nunes, and myself. So go to the home of truth, right? Go to Patriot.tv today, sign up, seriously consider the 2-year subscription rate. It's an unbelievable savings. I think it's a total savings of about $70 from just signing up on a monthly or a annual basis. So thank you very much for your support. Patriot.tv is America's new network. Thank you.
The government is corrupt. To fix this, politicians would like to grow its size and control. The Kate Dalley Show starts now.
Where does the real power lie? The power behind the power. Because it's no longer about who lives in the White House. It's about who owns the White House.
This is the presidency. How much higher can a politician go?
The real power isn't here. It's beyond here. It's above it, but still working in conjunction with it.
Yeah, I know. That was Kevin Spacey. He's a creeper. But in any case, that was from the show House of Cards. And is that true? Oh, yes. We do know that now, don't we? I sure hope that if you ever call anyone a conspiracy theorist because they say somebody else is running things, you need to have your head examined at this point. It's just too obvious now. So in this hour, and I really appreciate Peymon coming on in the last hour, that was really beneficial to talk about the broken system of the IRS. So if you didn't catch that and you're just joining me now, make sure and go back on podcast, katedalleyradio.com, katedalleyradio.com, and go get that podcast and listen to that. So I'm going to talk about who's really running things, because there's an awful lot of they, quote unquote, they talk, but do we ever really get into this? And now we've actually on the show named lots of different people involved in the running of this country. It's not the puppets. It's not King Dingaling. It's not Hormala. It's not any of those people. They're usually the money people, the money changers. No wonder Christ, got angry at the money changers, because, he knows where the power is and who runs things. So I'm gonna go through this clip with you, this 6-minute video with you, and I'm gonna stop it from time to time and talk about some details of this, because I've done some research on this. I'm gonna add in to this gentleman's video on who is, or what in this case, is really running things. If you haven't heard about Aladdin, well, you need to know that this is truly the mechanism of the, let's say, Oz behind the curtain, if you will. Okay. And most people do not know that this exists, do not know what this is about, but I want to talk about it. Okay. I'm going to start to play this, and I want you to, you can weigh in as well during this hour, 888-673-1450. You're listening to the Friday show. Glad you are. Here we go. He's going to talk really fast, and that's why I'm going to stop it in between. Here we go.
Told you there is a robot that controls more wealth than any country on earth. A robot so powerful that in the last 10 years, it has quietly created the biggest company in the world. This is the story of a robot called Aladdin. It's Wall Street's best kept secret, and it's gobbling up every asset class across every industry. Aladdin now controls $21 trillion of our global economy. To put that in perspective, that's more than the $20 trillion GDP of the US, or the $15 trillion GDP of the entire European Union. The New Statesman wrote, the total physical cash of all 7 billion people and every company, bank vault, wallet, and piggy bank in the world is around $5 trillion. Aladdin has grown into a system responsible for more than 4 times the value of all the money in the world. This one robot directs the actions of the U.S. Federal Reserve, almost every major bank and investment fund on Wall Street, and over 17,000 traders. It controls half of all ETFs, 17% of the bond market, 10% of the global stock market, and carries out 250,000 trades every day and billions of forecasts every week. Year after year, it hoovers up trillions of data points on every market, every company, every asset, and now even each of us, what we buy, sell, and say, so that it knows what to buy and what to sell far better than any human being.
This is true. And Aladdin is a computer, and this computer is owned and operated by BlackRock. Okay. Now, we've talked about BlackRock being a very specific player in the world landscape. They are in charge of all the Ukraine money for rebuilding. They're in charge of all the money. Think about that for just a moment. They're in charge of all the money. BlackRock. Is it our government? Yes. It's just described as a separate organization, described as a private organization, but it is not. It is sort of the fourth aspect of government that truly is in charge of the whole. So you have this computer, Aladdin, and we'll go a little bit more into the history. It talked about ETFs, electronic transfer of funds, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more. But this is truly where Aladdin catapulted, was through ETF. Okay. And what is our future? ETF, through digital currency. Okay. I'll keep going. There's a little history here too.
Than any human being. Every major bank, company, and investment fund has come to rely on Aladdin and its all-powerful AI and algorithms to beat the market. And if they didn't, they've collapsed and failed in Aladdin's wake. And you know what the craziest part of this story is? This robot is just getting started. So where did Aladdin come from, and how did it get so powerful? Aladdin is the brainchild of Larry Fink, the founder of BlackRock, and its total dominance has made his company the biggest shadow bank in the world and the most powerful company on earth. The story you're about to hear is equally unbelievable and terrifying. In fact, you would think it was science fiction if it wasn't very real and happening today. This story starts in the 1980s when Larry Fink was making millions pioneering mortgage-backed securities at Wall Street Bank First Boston. That's right, the same mortgage-backed securities that caused the 2008 global financial crisis 20 years later.
Wow, that's an interesting point, right? The same that actually caused the mortgage fallout in 2008. He's talking really fast, and that's why I'm going to stop it from time to time to really elaborate because on a point or two, because this is important information, and he does go through this and really dials in on the important stuff. Let me play that again.
And terrifying. In fact, you would think it was science fiction if it wasn't very real and happening today. This story starts in the 1980s when Larry Fink was making millions pioneering mortgage-backed securities at Wall Street Bank First Boston. That's right, the same mortgage-backed securities that caused the 2008 global financial crisis 20 years later. But back in the 80s, he was in an epic Wall Street rivalry with Louis Ranieri at Salomon Brothers, Michael Lewis's book, Liar's Poker. Back then, Larry was making millions for the bank and was on track to be First Boston's CEO. And then in 1986, an error in the back office computer models led to Larry making the wrong trades and he lost the company $100 million. The result was Larry leaving the bank as a failure with a stupid computer to blame. With that experience, Larry had just one ambition: to build a super smart robot that could pick out risk and opportunity in the market and do it better than any computer or human could do.
So using AI, okay? So he was in that rivalry and blamed it on not having a computer to do all the work, not having a computer to facilitate with almost exactness what should be done in the market and tell them what to buy in the market. So a computer smarter than BlackRock, truly, to tell BlackRock what to do and to also sell this. And this is why BlackRock is who BlackRock is today, is because this computer that was built on this notion of AI, on the notion of this computer will be smarter than anyone that exists in telling us and analyzing for us what the next moves will be, what's going to happen next. And so after this rivalry in the 80s, of course, this is what, and I mean, come on, his last name is Fink. Sorry, Fink. Okay, here we go. Here's more.
In 1988, he launched a new startup, BlackRock, with a tiny coding team to give birth to this robot. Its name, Aladdin, which stands for Asset, Liability, and Debt Derivative Investment Network. In its first 10 years, Aladdin...
I'm going to play that again. It stands for...
the tiny coding team to give birth to this robot. Its name, Aladdin, which stands for Asset, Liability, and Debt Derivative Investment Network. In its first 10 years, Aladdin was fed information about every asset, price movement, and risk variable in the global bond market, Larry's specialty. And in 1999, when Aladdin turned 11, Aladdin was getting so intelligent at picking losers and winners that Larry began selling access to its data to other Wall Street firms. That same year, he took BlackRock public on the New York Stock Exchange. Straight after the IPO, the dot-com bust burst, pushing a wall of money from the stock market to bonds, which Aladdin had become the undisputed world champion in. Within years...
Now, isn't that amazing? Do you think that was manufactured? I think it was. They absolutely 100% wanted BlackRock in this situation, wanted BlackRock to be able to jump in on a, let's say, opportunity, right? They created an opportunity for BlackRock to lead out, for BlackRock to sort of have this knowledge about where the future was going so that they could be the guy in the lead, right? Because why? Because this was a new department of government that was basically going to run government. I'll play that little tiny bit again.
On the New York Stock Exchange. Straight after the IPO, the dot-com bust burst, pushing a wall of money from the stock market to bonds, which Aladdin had become the undisputed world champion in. Within years...
And it just so happened that they had built it that way, to be the undisputed bond, right? To be able to foretell and be able to grab hold of this wall of money that was coming at them. They were just equipped and ready to go. I think that's a lot more manufactured than we lead on. Here we go.
As BlackRock had become $1 trillion company, and as money started shifting back to shares, what did Larry do? He bought the asset management arm of Merrill Lynch, which was focused to shares. So the gift for Aladdin's 18th birthday, all the data points for the entire stock market. And suddenly Aladdin had a new playground, analyzing every stock trade and risk factor for every company on the stock market. As a result, today BlackRock, together with his two closest rivals, Vanguard and State Street, both of which also rely on Aladdin's mountain of knowledge, have become the biggest shareholders of over 40% of all public listed companies in America.
Wow. I'm going to play that one more time because it's a lot to digest, okay? And I know he's talking fast, but here you go.
company. And as money started shifting back to shares, what did Larry do? He bought the asset management arm of Merrill Lynch, which was focused to shares. So the gift for Aladdin's 18th birthday, all the data points for the entire stock market. And suddenly Aladdin had a new playground, analyzing every stock trade and risk factor for every company on the stock market. As a result, today BlackRock, together with his two closest rivals, Vanguard and State Street, both of which also rely on Aladdin's mountain of knowledge, have become the biggest shareholders of over 40% of all public listed companies in America.
Wow. And let me just say, rivals, Vanguard rival, I'm going to say more of a, it's kind of like what the media does in investing in people that it looks like they're up against, but they're not. And the creation of your enemy, I'm going to very much say that is a product of that for sure. Okay.
2008, the global financial crisis hits, and before Aladdin turns 21 years old, is caught on by every Wall Street bank and Timothy Geithner, the head of the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury. As soon as Lehman Brothers collapsed and the Wall Street meltdown began, the U.S. government came calling to save the next collapsing bank, Bear Stearns. It was Aladdin who decided which assets to keep and which to leave in the $30 billion rescue package. And few people know it was a robot that saved America from disaster.
Okay. It was a robot that saved America from disaster. No, it was a robot that was created to bend the power to BlackRock itself so that BlackRock would emerge as this fourth arm of government that controls government. See? So he's wrong on that point because, of course, this was a creation and it was created for this job. So when we're all struggling with GPT and we're asking it really silly questions and this is AI, no, this is AI right here. This creation, Aladdin, this is what AI is capable of. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show. Hi, I hope you're enjoying Patriot.tv. I'm Kira, and I am so excited to tell you about our new store. We have everything you could want to show your patriotism around your house. We've got artwork, we've got coffee mugs, there's health and beauty stuff, and even things to decorate with. I've got a few examples here just to give you a little look behind the scenes. First up, by the world-renowned artist Robert Holton, this is part of his Drizzle collection. Give you a better look at that. How cool is that Lady Liberty? Wouldn't that look great in your hallway? And there's even artwork you can wear on your body. God, Country, and Kin, amazing denim jacket for the ladies. Look at this detail and look at the back. Dangerous there with the twin pistols. And ladies, those are not just bullets, those are lipsticks. Yeah, you're dangerous all the way around, right? And there's also stuff you can put on your head. All about the cowboy core this year, right? Love these great hats they've got going. Check out the front and the detail on that with the longhorn. Lovely in the back, and it looks even better on. Yeehaw! Love to show my patriotism in a great cowboy hat. Check us out at the Patriot.tv store today. Join me there. So if you've got an itch to do a little shopping and show your patriotic spirit, click that link above that says store and join me there at the Patriot TV store.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over. Your entire order ships absolutely free.
This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Welcome back. Oddly enough, that song that I'm playing right now is called This Train Ain't Stoppin'. And that's the truth. This train ain't stopping, and we need to understand what we're up against. You know, we're like diddling around with AI because we think that it is in its new stages. Oh my gosh, it's the biggest lie. It's the biggest lie. Anyways, welcome back to the show. I'm talking about Aladdin, and this is a really kind of a sick, twisted thing that I have to talk about on a Friday. Sorry. It's like, here's this sick, twisted thing. Enjoy your weekend. Sorry about that. But it has to be said, right? And this needs to come to light on bigger platforms because there's something very, very wrong with this. It's very engineered. It's very manufactured. And somebody was at 100% behind this. This is, you know, this is really getting into really satanic stuff to build this Goliath of a computer system, of this AI system to control the markets. It's high cheating is really what it is, because it's supposed to tell you what to buy next. But you have to have that information going in, right, to facilitate that too. And so, yes, this was very coordinated to put BlackRock on top. So Fink had lost that $100 million, and then he joined. And then he became CEO of BlackRock, and he started putting together this computer model. Sorry, I can't talk today. Computer model. And this was all happening when the Berlin Wall collapsed in Europe. It didn't really collapse. It was more of a CIA operation, but okay. In 1988. And of course, they said they opened BlackRock in this really modest office. Very modest. Yeah, right. Give me a break. It's all lies, you guys. It's all lies. And the agenda was to make Fink's vision work, to build and own a robust risk capability that would provide this risk overview and then sell this software, okay? And this is how it made money, but it was very well funded. So modest to my rear end. It was not modest at all. So in the earliest days, the firm was focused on building this risk capability. And this is coming from their story, right? But it came about when they went and approached General Electric, this brokerage subsidiary, asking BlackRock to help them value its assets by looking at the data on this disk called Michelle spreadsheet. This was 1994. Michelle. Weird, huh? Michelle spreadsheet with more than 1,000 rows of trades. And then, of course, it just kept getting better and better, okay, at what it was designed to do. And it protected BlackRock's own portfolios by flagging systemic risks in 2008, but also providing a unique opportunity to answer one of the federal government's most ardent needs. Gee, they have a need. Do you think BlackRock can solve it? Oh, my gosh. I feel like this is Sesame Street stuff. I mean, you think? Anyway, so the banks would then start calling BlackRock to evaluate their portfolios, and Aladdin is used by the Fed, the banks, and the Treasury. Let me say that again. The banks started using BlackRock's portfolio. The banks called BlackRock to evaluate portfolios, and Aladdin is used by the Fed, the banks, and the Treasury. It's kind of scary. A lot scary. Okay? Because this is, you think about digital currency coming in, and you think about, are they ready for that? I would imagine yes. I would imagine with this infrastructure. Now they still need and are going to boost internet infrastructure as well to be able to handle the load. Okay, you see those ugly 5G towers that every single city in America said yes to? Okay, those ugly towers that they try to hide with trees and bushes and stuff. If you think about this is why I'm always talking about digital currency, digital tyranny coming in, as they've been setting this up and setting this up and setting this up. BlackRock's at the helm, and the people behind BlackRock, most importantly, that don't get named, are behind the helm, behind BlackRock. Larry Fink, the little Fink, is just out in front. But you have this whole system in which our banks are already using, in which the Fed is already using, okay? Not good for us, because as the internet systems grow and as we get more capability, and by the way, King Dingaling's speech, Biden's speech on Tuesday was all about the money for that infrastructure, going after rural, making sure that everything is in place, right, for a more bolstered situation here when it comes to the internet, when it comes to all of that. And this AI program is ready to go. That's the sad part. When I come back, a little bit more from that recording on BlackRock, and then I want to share some things with you as well. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com. Who runs things? Never thought it'd be Aladdin, right? Because you think Disney, right? Nope. Aladdin. Be right back.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your My Pillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
I do have a caller, and then, man, I have so much more on this. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Hello, Kate. Thanks for having me on.
You
know, the idea that Larry Fink to just create this with a bunch of other guys thinking it up is ridiculous.
Yep.
It's like thinking that Bill Gates came up with Microsoft with a bunch of guys in a garage, and then a bunch of guys in Harvard in a frat house came up with Facebook. This is all DARPA. This is all basically a government think tank comes up with these programs. This one is in particular to control a fiat currency.
Mm-hmm.
So every fiat currency that's ever been created has always collapsed.
Right.
So how do we control it so that it doesn't collapse? And they had a great control of this for a long time with the market, with quantitative easing. Mm-hmm. They were funneling money only to specific places, keeping the inflation rate down. Once the COVID money came out, that was like a blanket that covered everything, and now inflation goes through the roof because they let the genie out of the bottle because all of a sudden they covered everything with money. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to figure out how are we going to put it all back together, and BlackRock has been given this control. They were one of the main people to get the COVID money as it was to control it, to get it back under that DARPA control, or government control of where the money goes. Government, Fed, all the same people, Treasury, all the same control.
You're right. Amen, brother. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the call. Great points. And yes, that's why the little Finkster, I doubt that's its actual name, to tell you the truth. Anyway, little Finkster was put in charge of this and given Aladdin, just like Bill Gates, frontman. They're all frontmen. They're all frontmen because they have to look separate and they have to look like private entities. Otherwise, this doesn't work. The scheme doesn't work, okay? And can you hack it? Good question. Yes. Could they hold it for ransom? Is it hackable? Yes. Remember when Catherine Austin Fitz, I had her on the show, and she said, if I could tell somebody to do one thing, yes, prepare, yes, do all of these things, but get really good at computers. Make sure that you know people that are really, if you get my drift, really good at computers. Very, very interesting point that is, because she said that's what's going to be necessary down the road is understanding how to sort of break systems or understanding how to get into systems because everything will be a system. Everything will be this kind of thing that we're talking about, Aladdin. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting point that she said in the future, we need a lot of people, good patriots actually, that are computer programmers. Okay, a little bit more from this recording on Aladdin, the computer that pretty much owns us all. Here we go.
With that first success, the Fed, US government, and now even European and Japanese central banks began relying on Aladdin to make the calls on where the $2.5 trillion of new money they printed should go. The majority of it, bonds and funding to prop up the mortgage companies and banks. But wait, aren't these exactly the assets that Aladdin and BlackRock already were invested in? Exactly. But growing protests of conflict of interest were drowned out by the noise of the printing presses printing more money, as the assets controlled by Aladdin rapidly grew to $11 trillion by 2013. In the last decade, Aladdin has gone from the leader to the dominator of all financial markets. With BlackRock's Barclays acquisition, it got iShares, Barclays Exchange Traded Funds Units, or ETFs. And with that, Aladdin moved from dominator of bonds and equities to dominator of ETFs, just as all the biggest investors shifted from mutual funds to ETFs.
Okay, and ETFs are those electronic funds transfers. And let me just say that it was manipulated to be this way. This wasn't just because of Larry Fink. Like the caller said, and I alluded to before in this hour, it was all manipulated for him to take over. This is DARPA money. This is a whole lot of people at the helm of this that put the name BlackRock attached to it, okay? And here's some more.
And that's when, in 2017, everything changed. On Aladdin's 29th birthday, Larry launched a top-secret project at BlackRock, codenamed Monarch. It led to the firing of its fund managers and replacing their funds with Aladdin's funds. The robot was now eliminating humans from the equation altogether.
Yes, this is true. And that Monarch project, actually Harvard came out with this. They actually talked about this in particular and said in 2018 and said, BlackRock, this was the title of the article, bringing together man and machine. Boy, that doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy, huh? BlackRock's approach to machine learning to enhance the fund's investment process, how this mega trend is impacting various aspects of the organization and industry. And they called the secret project Monarch. And they're not a government entity? Interesting. Okay, yeah, they are. This was a radical restructuring of the equities unit, and they called it a sacking underperforming fundamental fund managers and shifting funds to its quantitative system active equities, which is called SAE funds, active equities. And lots of controversy and debate was raised, of course, around it. Nothing would ever be done. But the analysts were questioning the decision and what it implied. Does this mean that the investment giant was betting that machines would eventually replace human fund managers? That's exactly what they were saying. And this was a secret project from government called Monarch, in which they were put in as the people in charge of this, okay? Because it was ready. So when we think AI is not ready, it is. I mean, it is to a huge extent already ready. And also, it's going to talk about, the EFTs, the electronic funds transfer. Sorry if I reversed that earlier, but the banking system that allows for transactions like bill payments, deposits to be made electronically through the computer databases, if you don't know what that is, okay? All right, let me go back. There's so much on this. Oh my gosh, this is huge. Okay, huge topic. Here we go.
So today, over 70% of all trades on US stock markets are decided by robots, with Aladdin leading the way. These trades are completed from beginning to end without a human involved, in high-frequency trading far faster than a human can execute. Now, if this was just a story about a robot taking over the job of Wall Street traders, you might not be so concerned, unless you're one of those traders. But in the last 3 years, as Aladdin hit $20 trillion in assets, incredibly, it has begun to consume and control at an even faster rate. First, in 2020, as Aladdin turned 32 years old, the US government and Federal Reserve again came calling as the pandemic hit.
Yeah, they didn't come calling, they created it. Let's be real, but go ahead.
Pandemic hit. Aladdin was again the one to guide the nation in what was now $4 trillion of newly printed money. Where did the money go this time? Inexplicably, for the first time, the Fed began buying ETFs in 2020. Well, that's a little strange. And again, the cries of conflict of interest were drowned out by the money printing. And then...
let me play that again.
The one to guide the nation in what was now $4 trillion of newly printed money. Where did the money go this time? Inexplicably, for the first time, the Fed began buying ETFs in 2020. Well, that's a little strange. And again, the cries of conflict of interest were drowned out by the money printing. And then Aladdin revealed its endgame. Recently, BlackRock acquired eFront, which collects data on the things that you and I own, including private equity and real estate. And since then, Aladdin has consumed eFront's data on the entire global real estate market. And yep, you guess what happened next. Over the last 2 years, BlackRock and other funds using Aladdin's data have begun buying up single-family homes, where they can afford to outbid the rest of us as they have unlimited financing at hyper-low interest rates. The result is home prices rising by 20% over the last 2 years and pushing now even big players like Zillow out of the market.
Yes, that's so true. And eFront is a very interesting organization. I've done some work on eFront. But eFront is this tech platform for private market investments, okay, owned by BlackRock, of course, or by our government, however you want to say it. But yes, this was this was like the signature of BlackRock's investment technology platform. COVID was never about COVID. It was never about that. That was the big Monica Lewinsky pushed out at us. It was really about, for the first time, like he said, investing and getting Aladdin into position. That's what it was about. It was about the raping and looting of the countries. It was about the financial institutions, and it was about the first time doing things differently and empowering Aladdin to absolutely run things. You want to know who runs us? Who runs everything? And it's always on money. It's always on. It's why the money changers, quite frankly. Okay? That's why Christ was so angry at the money changers turning over tables. It's always about the money, isn't it? Be right back. Money and Power. Be right back on the Kate Dalley Show.
Former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV store, a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
This is the Kate Dalley Show.
This fantasy, too much technology, machines to save our lives, machines dehumanize.
Boy, that was a cover of Styx. Styx sure knew what to write, right? Yep, that's about how that's going down. So, boy, our music sure does a number on us, doesn't it? As far as the lyrics, things that are written. Okay, back here with you. I want to play two things for you. I'm going to play the rest of this, which is just a few minutes, and then and that eFront is the technology to sort of gobble up the homes, keep track of our data, what we buy, what we're not buying, urge us to do certain things. Everything is very, very manipulated, and that is BlackRock, okay? And that is the Aladdin using this particular program for that. So to be able to absorb all, properties, okay? Here you go. So eFront is that corporation. Here we go.
Zillow out of the market. And here we see Aladdin's endgame to be the one hyper-intelligent AI robot that not just controls Wall Street assets, but all assets, public and private. Now, I'm not into conspiracy theories, but even a skeptic with eyes wide open can see the signs. We're already at a point where no one can compete without Aladdin. As CEOs and asset managers like Anthony Malloy are now saying, Aladdin is like oxygen. Without it, we wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah, and so what he was talking about there, remember that we were fighting the foreign interests coming in, being allowed to buy up our lands and then claim climate gobbledygook so that they could sit on the land so that we couldn't use them, right? For any kind of assets, for oil, for all of those things, because we're so much in debt, they could come in, they could buy up our properties. We think we stopped that. But what he's saying is, no, this is what eFront was established for, was to be able to facilitate the taking of public and private lands. Ouch. I know. This is like not good news Tuesday or Friday. So sorry. Here you go. Ouch. Here we go.
And what about government regulation? Well, Joe Biden has appointed BlackRock executive Brian Deese as head of the National Economic Council, which basically means the oversight of Aladdin and BlackRock is now the responsibility of BlackRock. And Biden has also appointed BlackRock Chief of Staff, Wally Adeyemo, to be Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, which means BlackRock is now the Treasury as well as the Treasury Advisor.
Remember the talk about ending the Federal Reserve? It puts it in the hands of BlackRock. Puts it in the hands of the Treasury, U.S. Treasury. Either way, we're screwed on that one. And Brian's an interesting character in all this. He's young, okay? He was born in 1978. Brian is kind of a scary dude that's never talked about. He's managing director, global head, sustainable investing at BlackRock. Also, he was working with Obama. He was part of the campaign. He was the Center for American Progress. He joined Hillary Clinton's campaign. He is economic advisor, the economic advisor to Barack Obama, and of course to Biden, or Hormala, however you want to look at it now. So anyway, he is a big individual as far as a lot of control over where we go, where we move, and his list of things: Rhodes Scholar. That's a big tell right there if somebody's a deep insider, and also Yale Law School. I know, another tell. And Mr. Deese, senior advisor to Barack Obama, now to this administration, has been in here for a long time. Very young guy, but very influential, obviously running things, not just influential, but running things. So when we're talking about the U.S. Pact for the future, okay, the UN Pact for the future, what I want to say about that is that Chris Ann made a good point in that it's not law yet, don't freak out. But if you go back and you look at when the UN declares policy, and then when they are goals, let's say goals at this point, because not policy yet, goals. When they declare goals, they usually pan out that way. Okay, look at Agenda 21. It's a great example. Started announcing that in the 90s. Look what we're dealing with now. All your cities are very corrupt. Your counties are corrupt with corrupt individuals at the helm, bringing in Agenda 30 now. It's transitioned into Agenda 2030. So keep that in mind when I play this clip about that pact for the future, okay? And the money system that we're looking at, that they want to adopt. And this is the whole reason, one of the reasons that Aladdin was created. And this comes to us from a whistleblower on the UN Pact for the Future that happened this week. Here we go.
That the human rights aspect of things is simply the reason they keep going on about it. They want
the UN.
If they say that everybody has the right to water, say, and then they put one of these water wells in somewhere that they've been arranging, and what you need is you need digitally to swipe your card to get your allotted portion of water, and your card is your digital ID. And so basically, in order to access your human rights, whatever they may be, you need your digital ID, your biometric system. You need to be part of the system in order to get your rights. They're your rights, you're entitled to them, they're right here. And all you have to do is, give away your sovereignty, and then you can have them. So they're not talking about the human rights because they really care about everybody having everything they're supposed to have. Mm-hmm. They want people to want to access those things. Because they have been told that they have a right to them.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. See, so our churches and the people of this country go, well, they're only talking about human rights. Who's against that? Who's against that? Because with this system and with the co-opting of all assets, money, like he said, 4 times the trillion, in the trillions, 4 times the amount of GDPs. Okay. When you're looking at a Goliath, a monster program that is gobbling all of that up, okay, and then owned by these entities, which UN is a part of this as well, okay, they're all a little club, okay, so then you have a system by which you have to get into digitally. You have to have a digital card. And so what they say is, oh, we're all for your human right to have water, which, by the way, the UN stated is half a shower for one person in your family per day. That's the allotted liter amount, okay? Half a shower, one person a day for your entire cooking, cleaning, everything, okay? That's their idea of equity in water. But you have to become part of the system and have that card in order to access said water, okay? That's how you get your human right. Now, we know rights come from God. They don't come from the UN. They don't come from our government. But people will be swindled into thinking, what a wonderful thing. Let's support them. They're all about human rights, women and children, women and children. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's all about holding your human rights hostage from you, okay? You can't access anything, so you have to get into their digital system, which is run by Aladdin. Let that digest for a while. Sick. It's a sick game, but we have to know what we're dealing with here, right? We've got to know how far AI has transgressed. We have to know what we're up against. Otherwise, it's futile. That's why I say, don't just pray to God to save us. Become aware of what's going on so that we can get to the tools that we need so that we can help understand how to fight it, okay? Become awake. Pray to become awake. Ooh, Aladdin. Go look it up. And, of course, be faithful, be fearless. See you back here on...
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.